are the two topics that will be discussed. Briefly, have a I think the flow that will be taken care of. Recent cyber attacks. Already, I have gone through your I think the schedules. Many things has already been discussed about cyber attacks trends, but I will be discussing about taxonomy, which has not been covered. Then we will be discussing about cyber threat intelligence, why every organization needs that. Then what is a cyber threat platform? Then what is cyber security framework? Then security operation center. Then conclusion. These are all after the first topic. Then all these 2, 3, 4 these applications. Therefore, we need a cyber threat intelligence. Then we must need a platform which takes input as cyber threat intelligence, delivers the output, which takes care of various cyber attacks. The cyber attacks generally can be of any types, which is visible, which is not visible. That means which we do not know whose signatures are available, which signatures are not available. Sometimes it is called 0-day. That means automatically we need some artificial intelligence or machine learning approach to find out whether this attack can be countered or not. Then what should be a cyber security framework? Then what is actually security operation center? Actually, I have gone through I think your lectures. There is I think Dr. Talwar has already discussed from certain about cyber firewalls. I think last traditional firewalls and recent firewalls, there is actually a lot of difference. I mean to say, now the firewalls are called next generation firewalls, where AI plays an important role, where we will be discussing about predictive approach to counter cyber threats. That means the threats which are not yet published, how that can be tackled. Then we will having a security operation center that is 24 hours 7, 365. Therefore, security operation center is one of the applications of cyber threat platform, which takes input of many things, then delivers the output, which will be automatically, that is called security orchestrations and automation response, SOAR, and SIEM, that is called security information and event management. That will be how we'll be discussing. Before going just briefly, because since the inputs talks about cyber security, particularly we'll be discussing about protecting electronic devices and associate data information. Whenever we'll be discussing about the electronic devices and associate data, then network plays an important role as well as devices. Therefore, servers, networks, data centers, files, all sorts of things that will be taken care of. Therefore, we need to discuss about its physical security as well as other cyber security aspects of data, information, as well as the devices. Therefore, whenever we will be discussing about cyber security, that this part has already been discussed. Therefore, a security solutions must be taken care of confidentiality, integrity, availability, no doubt, non-repudiations, as well as
Dr. Mohapatra, your mic is mute.
is it okay, ma'am? Is it coming
sir.
now?
Yes, sir. Voice
okay.
is coming.
Discussing any I think breach of the services. That's
sir, screen is not sharing. Please share your screen.
Wait. Is it coming?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, okay. Yes, sir. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about confidentiality. Generally, the countermeasure to have confidentiality will be applications of cryptography. I think Professor Naveen Rajpal sir, he has already discussed some of the points about cryptography. You see, the confidentiality means whenever a sender sends a message to receiver B, then it will be moving through a undisclosed or is a disclosed platform. Therefore, there is always a cyber threat, and it can be intercepted. But however, there must be it should not be interpreted. Therefore, confidentiality can be achieved by the clever applications of cryptography. And we have many advanced cryptographic schemes. Recently, AES 256 is proved to be cryptographically secured or computationally secure. This is how I think we'll discuss about confidentiality, but I'm not going through the confidential in detail. But it is always, whether it is a mobile phone, whether it is the internet or anything, confidentiality really is one of the major criteria. But recently, I think you might be heard about TLS 3.0, that is called Transport Layer Security 3.0. This confidentiality will become a biggest headache, not only for the cyber investigators, but also for the law enforcement agencies, because in between, whenever this TLS 3.0 that will be applicable, then there will be end-to-end encryption between a browser as well as a server. Therefore, when anything that will be typed from my browser, when it will be transmitted to the server, then it cannot be interpreted at all. It can be intercepted, but after the interceptions, it cannot be interpreted, because the encryption that will be just like a WhatsApp type of encryption will be there. It will be, I think, by month end or by 2 months, by December, this TLS 3.0 will be officially announced, and almost all browsers that will be equipped with this TLS 3.0. That is actually, I think, confidentiality will become a major headache for law enforcement agents, because you see, we will not able to find out what is actually the contents of the informations. But however, again, whenever there is firewalls and security, I think any malwares that will be traversed or transmitted through this communication channel, since it cannot be encrypted, there it cannot be decrypted, therefore its signature cannot be known. Therefore, really it will be a difficult task for the next generation firewall or firewalls or any security devices to counter TLS 3.0. Still, there is a, I think, no doubt, for users' point of view, I think users will enjoy that their privacy will be, I think, will be a major gain so far as privacy is concerned. Integrity, as we know that any information which will be, I think, shared, that will be shared in the intact, that means protecting information from unauthorized modifications. If there will be any modifications, then notifications can be known. It can be achieved by digital signatures. No doubt, we can have any cryptographic, many cryptographic applications to achieve integrity. And we have message digest, secured hash algorithms, SAR2, and all sorts of things that is already been discovered. But again, availability, preventing disruptions, how information is accessed. That means your customers are unable to access your online services because of this denial of services or DDoS type of attack. Availability is compromised. Therefore, the information need to be available when it is on demand. Therefore, availability is also one of the aspects. Therefore, threats, vulnerabilities. You see, whenever we'll talk about cyber threat, particular threat arises due to certain vulnerabilities. The vulnerabilities can, if you can broadly classify, it will be of three types. One vulnerability is called the major vulnerabilities, generally platform vulnerabilities, where the application is hosted, whether it is a secured platform, whether it is Android operating system or Windows operating system, whether it is a Mac operating system or Linux operating system, then all things, I think all security aspects to be evaluated. This is one, the vulnerabilities associated with the platform. The second vulnerabilities will be the vulnerability associated with the technology. Suppose if we are using C, C++, any obsolete languages, then they are vulnerable, because we know that C, C++ languages, they are the buffer overflow attacks. Suppose you have already go ahead with buffer overflow, where array out of index mechanism, that means exceptions are not handled properly. In that case, particularly buffer over. Similarly, we can have thousands of. Pardon, ma'am. Yeah, I mean to say this is actually vulnerabilities due to the old technology. The most important vulnerability will be the vulnerability users as per the user's policy. That means a policy has been designed, but it is not been implemented. Therefore, this is vulnerable. Therefore, if any one of the vulnerability is there, then we can say that our security countermeasures can be compromised. Therefore, since we can have always, there will be vulnerabilities, then the threat is always there. Now our task is how to minimize this threat or how to minimize this risk associated with that threat. Therefore, risk management is one of the components for every cybersecurity professionals or any cybersecurity frameworks. Therefore, the objective will be to minimize the risk, and the risk is due to the vulnerabilities. The vulnerabilities is due to the old technology, due to the platforms, due to the policies. Therefore, this is how a chain that will be there. Therefore, all things that will be updated, and we know that at any I think latest technology or security counters that I'm using, there is always a threat associated. We cannot eliminate it. Therefore, if you go to the graph, it cannot be tamed or it cannot be reduced to zero, but there is always a residual risk. And our objective will be, there must be ongoing 365 24/7 ongoing security process, which the threats and risks can be minimized. This is some brief about cybersecurity aspects. And whenever we'll talk about risk management, we will be discussing about threats, vulnerabilities, and its impact. Therefore, whenever a risk management procedure will be taken care of, we will be discussing about the various threats, various vulnerabilities, the likelihood of a threat exploiting these vulnerabilities, and what is its impact. It is necessary to have an impact analysis, because suppose I am having the property of 10 rupees. If I will be, I think my expenses is more than 10, that means that there is nothing, I mean to say, this is useless. Therefore, the impact, what is its impact, and what is the asset, I think the value of the asset, accordingly the risk management is being decided. Therefore, in the threat, since we will be discussing about cyber threat landscape, therefore this is how we will be discussing about the threat, because I'm having a shortage of time. Just the slide is self-explanatory. Always there will be damage associated and actor and adversary attempting to gain access to a system. Therefore, adversary here actually outside or from the inside. Therefore, whenever there is a threat from inside and threat from the outside, therefore both of the I think actors that will be plays an important role. Therefore, particularly we will be discussing about TTP, that is the tactics, techniques, and procedures that is being used to associated with threat landscape.
Sir, again you have muted yourself. Mr. Mohapatra, sir, you are muted. Mr. Mohapatra, please unmute yourself. Mr. Mohapatra, please unmute yourself. Dr. Deepak, please call him. I don't know whether he is listening me or not.
मैडम आई थिंक उनका फोन आया है.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, okay.
I'm sorry, मैं unmute किया था. Actually, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
No issue, fine. We'll be talking about the threats which generally in 2012, we'll be discussing about threats that is particularly we'll be discussing about, I mean to say 2012 definition, it talked about social engineered threat trojans. At that time, 2012, 13 people talk about phishing attacks and keylogger, that means my password has been hacked. And I think this trends comes in 2012. Then unpatched software like Java, Adobe, Reader, Flash, and the threats due to this old technology. Phishing, no doubt, is one of the criteria, because 2012, 13, 14, and you will see that everywhere talk about, I think, the banks and online transactions particularly they all are about phishings. Then will be I think 2012 the threats associated with network traveling worms, code red, and many code red generally 2002, and many worms that objective is to paralyze the network. Then advanced persistent threats, that means threats which is not being disclosed, but however there is a threat. Therefore, whenever actually cyber security comes into picture, and particularly we'll talk about 2010 onwards, then 2012, and the NIST particularly described cyber threat in terms of these aspects. But however, in 2018, recently, the threat today's threat landscape has already been changed. It talks about advanced persistent threats. That means talks about 0 days, and you have already come across with some ransomware and threats due to some cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and all other things. Then phishing, no doubt, still phishing persistence, and trojans, botnets. That means artificial intelligence plays an important role to create bots, because botnet chatting, and even if many things you will find out the many photos which is not real, and many videos which are it's not real, and many things which is managed by robots, what we call botnets, and ransomware, distributed denial services, cyber attacks, intellectual property theft of money, data manipulation, data destructions. Therefore, if we talk about the threat landscape, therefore the landscape has been changed drastically from 2012 to 2020, and we have a research how this threat landscape has been changed. And you see drive-by downloads, even if we'll talk about that is called this is malware, this malware through advertisements, and man in middle attack. And this is how the threat landscape I'll be discussing, because you see in your previous classes or later on you will be discussing, I think people will discuss about cyber security issues. I think phishing, DDoS, DOS, and many things. I will be giving one example, recent example, actually in police, particularly if we'll talk about our Delhi police scenario. Therefore, you see thousands of I think complaints are coming. So far as my past, I think my wallet has been hacked. मेरे phone पे कोई आया था, OTP has been shared. My desk has been, my screen has been shared, and many things. But still, a cyber security professional is also being, I think, being exploited through certain attacks. Therefore, you see that how it is happening, because there are many ways. I think the phishing, the phishing attack has been being managed. And you'll see, even if ultimately, suppose you will feel that, okay, since the money has been transferred to account, therefore police is not helping, or the bankers are not helping, because if they think they can go to the criminals, because it is already being associated with the bank account. And whenever generally bank account, you see, whenever the person, the name of the bank account, no doubt it is genuine, but police is not able to go and to find out who is actually the person behind this attack, behind this account. And it has been observed during this demonetizations or Dhan Yojana accounts, thousands of accounts has been created. And these accounts has been, I think, managed to be manipulated by the hackers. Mean to say, there is a, I think, area called Jamtara. You must be aware about Jamtara, the cyber capital, cybercrime capital of India, which is a small city in Jharkhand. And they are actually, they have purchased thousands of accounts from many tribal areas, many poor people, and 2000 rupees de diye, accounts le liye. Therefore, these accounts has been extensively used. Therefore, when the police reached to the accounts where the money has been credited, then it was found that the person is a rickshaw puller or a tribal. He is not knowing about who is operating their account. This is actually what we can say. We can say that there is a social aspects connected with cyber aspects. Therefore, phishing has been changed accordingly. This is a scenario that I discussed. Anyhow, this is talk about malvertising, which is common because all sorts of things that has been discussed. Therefore, how these advertisements that is actually being managed by malwares, and how your I think credentials can be managed with your passwords are managed with being with the hackers. Therefore, what I can see that you see the user, this is how a traditional malvertising, that means somehow a malware being installed, and it is due to the vulnerability. What type of vulnerability you can expect? It is due to my browser vulnerability. Therefore, the browser which I am using, whether it is Netscape, Mozilla, or Google Chrome, if it is not patched regularly, then this browser has the capacity to detect some of the malwares. Therefore, this is happening, and this is how you just go through the slides or go through the slides. It is self-explanatory. The how this drive-by download is used to installation of certain malwares. Therefore, it is forced to redirect of the browser to a malicious site. And generally, it is what we can say that how my privacy, I mean to say how people get to know what is being. No doubt, Google is taking care of all my privacy aspects. Besides that, how other I think websites, they are also collecting what I am searching, what is my habits. This is due to some sorts of malware being done by these aspects. Therefore, we can say that this is somehow a phishing is being managed. Malvertising can do the following when users actually click a malicious ad, because since you are already being faculties and associated with faculty, therefore, if you do some research, then go ahead with browser security. Browser security is one of the aspects which can be taken care of properly. What type of browsers I think vulnerabilities are there, how the browser's vulnerabilities can be minimized and prevent some types of phishing attacks. And similarly, how it can be mitigated, just awareness, antivirus, no doubt. Browsers need to be updated. Use of Flash and Java can be protect from many vulnerabilities that are commonly exploited. Updating browsers. These are certain aspects that we need to take care. How my computer is equipped, because you see that I think in recent days, this due to COVID, I mean to say online classes and online things, that is a day-to-day habit. Therefore, you see when children are doing online activities, then you must be take care of how whether their browsers actually plays an important I think role to prevent some sorts of cyber attacks and other things. Then we'll be talking about some common sources of cyber threats. It is a cyber threat generally being discussed in large scales: nation states or national governments, terrorists, industrial spies, organized cyber crimes, activists, business competitors, and disgruntled insiders. Out of these, the first two, that is terrorist and nation states, that is a cyber warfare and what we call information warfare. Our national critical infrastructures are always targeted. Whenever there is a cyber warfare, whenever it has been observed that whenever there is a physical conflict, that is always following a cyber conflict. Therefore, you see, I'm not this is not the right platform to disclose. You see how vulnerabilities, I mean to say, that will be taken care of, or which types of critical infrastructures are always being targeted. Our railway sites, our stock exchange, our petrochemicals, petroleums, oil sectors, and every day these are always being NIC, that is always being targeted. Therefore, how difficult how it is really managed. You see, that is the reason that we must need a cyber threat platform or cyber threat intelligence to counter these types of resources. First, 1 and 2. This is for national interest to understand cybersecurity threat landscapes and cybersecurity threats platforms and intelligence. Others generally, that is company-wide and individual related aspects. Now I'll be briefly discussing about cyber taxonomy. This is called a taxonomy of cyber threats against target applications. Whenever we need to understand the taxonomy, therefore we'll be discussing about taxonomy in terms of your industrial targets, which targets are there. Whenever if I'm talking about industrial applications, therefore the cyber threat is different. But whenever the target is operating system, then what is the threat? Whenever the target is a browser, then what is the threat? If the target is a mobile phone, then what is the threat? This is how the taxonomy has been classified. Therefore, this is one way that I am representing it. Therefore, being a researcher, being a faculty, you can have your own way how a taxonomy can be generated. Therefore, always, every year, the threat landscape and taxonomy is changed. Therefore, you can go to the NVD, National Vulnerability Database, or CVSS scores to find out which types of I think threats are there. Therefore, you must be updated, or even if you can go to many, I think, cyber security resources like in NIST, CERT-US, CERT-in. Even if you can have go to the Kaspersky or any organizations, there are cyber, I think that is called Virus Total. Many resources are there. You will get the data, and you can I think engage your students or engage your research scholars, or even if you are a research scholar, you engage yourself to find out how the taxonomy can be generated, and how the targets can be changed, what is the modus operandi, what is actually many analysis can be done. If that data will be enough, you can have certain, I think, data applications to find out the conclusion results. Here actually there is a awareness, this is a classical approach to find out the taxonomy. I'm discussing about the taxonomy has been generated or has been designed based on target applications. Therefore, this is always a help approach for the researchers to find out the targets, the vulnerabilities, the adversaries, and impacts. If we'll talk about the analysis, then we will find that 1990 to today, the landscape has been changed drastically. In 90s, we talk about the viruses, website defacement, worms. Particularly, this is due to the curiosity how the worms can be managed or replicated. How generally the definition was like that. Okay, this is called infect like a virus, replicate like a worm, and theft like a Trojan. But this definition is the classical definition, and particularly we will be discussing about antiviruses. We'll be talking about website defacements. Then 2000, it has been slightly changed. It talks about advanced worms, identity theft. Then in 2000, people talk about okay, phishing and malicious codes, Trojans like that. Then 2000 to 2007, I think in this decade, people talk about okay, how the network is being paralyzed, how the targets being changed, how the infrastructures is being targeted, what is hijacking, activism, malicious mails, spyware, SQL attacks, SQL injections, buffer overflow. Many vulnerabilities are actually were put together there. Then social engineering, website defacements, that is during 2000 to 2007. In the recent 2007 to 14, actually this is talking about data theft, advanced persistent theft, banking malwares, Bitcoin wallet, and phone hijacking, identity theft, POS attack, dynamic Trojans, stealth bots, keyloggers. Because you see at that time, mobile commerce, e-commerce, that is actually played the important role. Accordingly, the cyber threat has been changed. The landscape is changed. In 2014 to recently, up to 2019-20, again, it is recently we talk about cyber warfare. I think information warfare. If I think if you are aware, then there is a Stuxnet. Many things coming recently that is generally being managed through a cyber attack. Insider attacks, ransomware recently in 2-3 years back, ransomware and targeted attacks, particularly nuclear sectors and even if oil sectors, all critical infrastructures that were targeted. Then mobile malware, stealthy mining, cryptojacking attacks, subversion and sabotage. This is actually the landscape in 2020. Therefore, even if you can, if you have a data, you can analyze and making all these target applications. And what is the inside story? You can even manage to publish papers accordingly, because it is really indeed a help for security professionals to identify which types of attacks generally being targeted and what is the reason of these attacks. And this is how, because this is a landscape being designed and it is being published in one of a prestigious journal, how it has been managed. And this research is being taken care of by taking into many resources. I have already discussed it is CBSS, NBD, NIST, CERT-US, and Kaspersky, McAfee, and many of the things that has been combined, and open sources that is used to provide some sorts of things. Therefore, there is always a cyber attack process, because cyber attack is not a child's play. Always there is a research to find out how the attacks can be managed. Therefore, that is actually any cyber attack that is followed by a cyber kill chain, which is being described by Lockheed Martin model, which has 7 stages. I'm just managing it briefly. Any cyber attack process is a management tool required to better conceptualize and understand how the cyber intrusion takes place. It provides a clear and systematic way to security professionals to detect and prevent cyber intrusions and continuously improve the network security. Therefore, this is how a cyber kill chain. Just you go through this, I think the processes how the attack can be generated. Therefore, it is being published in 2011. Still, the science behind the attack is like that. First of all, the attacker selects his target. मुझे पहले target पता करना है. If I am an attacker, then I try to gather as much as information. Therefore, I must know what is actually the loopholes, what is the weakness of the target before launching an attack. Once the vulnerabilities is find out, that is used to weaponize, means that is called weaponizations. The attacker with, I think, then it is the networks being, how it will be targeted. Then how this attack can be delivered, that is through many ways. मैंने आपको already बता दिया, by using website exploits, by using USB drive, mail attachments. Therefore, you see, आपको पता है कि 10-15 years back, I think 2010 to 12, आपको रास्ते में 2-2 रुपए की मिल रहा था pen drives. You know why this happens? And even if recently, even if there is a protocol that is called GTB 18802 protocols, this is recently being moved. I think the MHA has taken the step that, okay, this protocol should be banned for any IoT devices. This protocol particularly is a protocol managed by China, that okay, there is a devices, the mostly IoT devices being manufactured in China and Chinese farms. If you talk about almost all countries like India, there is always a city, I think, safe city projects going on. आपको पता है अभी almost every city is a smart city to be declared, and already some of the cities being declared smart cities. What is meant by smart cities? Because induction of IoT devices into the reality of real applications. Recently, Delhi, in the Delhi government has launched 2 lakh IoT devices. I mean to say CCTV cameras in almost all areas of Delhi. Even if Delhi police is going to launch 10,000 CCTV camera under the Safe City Nirbhaya funds on the Safe City project, I mean to say that is called, this project was managed from the Nirbhaya fund, where actually now the CCTVs, they are not cameras. There is a computer inside a camera. Therefore, it has the capacity to analyze anything. Therefore, you see, if everything, suppose a Chinese camera is being placed, then there is always a, I think, a loophole. Mean to say China can able to get what's my information is. I should not name actually China, because you see there is actually a protocol. This protocol is mandatory by the Chinese government that any IoT devices must be equipped with that protocol. That means if this protocol is there, then automatically they have gained the access. ये पहले पता नहीं था. I think Huawei, I think US has actually their defense department has I think managed to find out. Therefore, this Huawei cameras that is being banned globally, not banned by Europe and US. And recently, India is also banning some of the protocols which is being exploited. And recently, this is how, I mean to say, this is a way generally USB. This is how the delivery mechanism. Now, being the induction of IoT devices or IoE devices. Therefore, earlier we talked about the cyber security or threats associated with network devices, operating system platform. Therefore, this is really a recent, I think, research topic to find out what type of cyber security vulnerabilities are associated with the devices. Whenever the physical security or the device-led securities are there, then we'll be talking about whenever the device is going to communicate with another device or a server, what type of securities are there. Therefore, authentication plays an important role. Therefore, authentication in IoT devices is a recent hot topic. Therefore, how recent hot topic? Because you see, what is actually the basic idea of authentication? So you see, authentication, so you mean that digital can be achieved through digital signature. Digital signature is PKI based, public infrastructure based. Whenever there is a PKI infrastructure, it is costly. Not only it is financially costly, but also it is computational costly, because we will talk about what we'll talk about public infrastructure, public key cryptography. Public key cryptography, whenever there is public key cryptography, it is computationally very extensive. That is the reason that how the objective will be, because you see almost all IoT devices are, I think, energy is a constraint. Therefore, we must need cryptographic algorithms or cryptographic schemes which is lightweight. That is actually the recent research that you can exploit, and we have really excellent tools available to manage whether this I think this whenever the security protocols or security services that is designed, whether it is actually I think providing solutions or not. That is the reason you do not need a test bed. It is costly. Therefore, you can have free sources available. Avispa is a tool that is available which can find out what type of securities vulnerabilities are associated with this protocol. That is an excellent tool. Avispa, Cyther, and recently game theoretic tools are also there. And there are very open source tools are available. This is one aspect. The second aspect will be, and once the tools verifies that, okay, my security protocol is secure, then even if I think this can be published. Therefore, I mean to say, because in a university like us, when students, they can manage to publish papers in essay index journals. They do not need a, I think, a test bed. They do not need a licensed version of, I think, protocol. I mean to say softwares like MATLAB and other things. This is how you can use IoT. This is a brief intro. Then exploitation, installation, command and control, actions and objectives. This is a cyber kill chain. Therefore, any attack that will be taking place through these steps and procedures. The taxonomy, as per the lecture, that will be target, attack class, degrees of access gain, origin of attack, effects on security goals, threat consequence, motivations, threat severity. This is how the taxonomy has been designed. And just a brief introduction. आप एक बार थोड़ा सा देख लीजिए easily, because it is quite difficult to describe all the threats, but all the cyber threats mostly which is relevant with respect to 2019, this is there in this one graph. What is the target sector? It is industrial. If it is industrial, what is how? Then mobile operating system, web browser, social network, and network. This is my target. Accordingly, the attack class will be malware driven by download, social engineering, malvertising. Just you have a look. You can have a freedom to write your own taxonomy, so that it should be clearly indicative and to provide some explanation and informations about the taxonomy of attacks and threats associated, and some discussions about why these threats there. Then you can conclude that, okay, how it can be countermeasured. The impact, generally, there is no quantitative way to analyze the impact, but however, the impact can be low, very low, moderate, high, very high, strategic, or not. And ultimately, if we will talk about breach, I discussed about three aspects: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. I'm not talking about authentication and non-repudiations. These are the breach, either breach due to confidentiality. Then what type of, why there is a breach in confidentiality? Because I must use, I think the solution provider, they must use a low cryptographic algorithm which can be compromised. Why he is going to use I think a lightweight cryptography? Because you see, if I can deploy a very computational costly cryptographic algorithm in a devices like a camera or a mobile phone, then my energy or battery may be drained within a minute. That is the reason that energy device, I think computational power of the device and the size of the device, that matters. Therefore, there must be a compromise between the, because we know, no doubt, there is proven cryptographic algorithm which provides confidentiality, no doubt a desired confidentiality level, but whether it is feasible or not, that is a question mark. That is the reason that We have theoretically almost all possible cybersecurity aspects, but whether it is practically implementable or not, that is a task. Therefore, whenever there is a research, I think a paper or published results, a research paper, proposed research paper, then whenever it is going to be implemented, then there is a deviations. Implementations and proposed, there are two distinctions. Therefore, there is always a, I think, a trade-off how it can be taken care of. This is how the taxonomy is being managed. It is not required. It is also not required because no doubt, okay, this is how I think this is how we can taxonomy being represented in a table. This is the application threat name Stuxnet. This attack, I think 2012, this is Iran's nuclear power plant is being paralyzed by a US threat, Stuxnet attack. Similarly, we have, I think, social engineering attack. We have code executions, social engineering. Then what is actually the breach? What is the threat sequences and what is its motivations? Motivation can be sabotage, can be political, can be espionage, and right, so many things. Therefore, there is another half an hour. I may be permitted to go very fastly because I want to discuss many aspects in a very limited time. Therefore, this is just introductions that you, after the class, you can have go through the various literatures. Therefore, okay, these are actually the I think the information which is available in public domain, but the task is to consolidate in one form. That is actually the task is here. It is given. Similarly, just have a look into this table. What is actually the motivation? Financial gain, cyber warfare. Whenever there is a cyber warfare, then it is between national level. Operation Aurora. I think US. I think Microsoft's Internet Explorer was actually the target. Then Crydex Trojan, Geos Mobile, Exgent spyware, Macau Trojan. Even if you see how Android applications and Android Apple iOS is also being targeted. BlackBerry operating system, because in the first one, that is mobile operating system. You see the threats that is being managed here, actually the operating mobile OS, then browser. Initially, I discussed about the industrial applications. When it will be browser, then it will be Operation Aurora, DigiNota, and Crydex Trojan. And whenever it is mobile operating system, this is Gitmo and Mitmo, Juice Mobile, Exgent spyware, Macau Trojans, and the targeted were Android, because Windows operating system is limitedly used. Therefore, Windows generally OS, not Nokia was using at that time. Recently, it is, I do not know whether anybody is using a Windows phone or not. But however, this is being there, how the taxonomy is being designed like this. This is the threat taxonomy. And okay, this is how the graphs shows how generally trends. And you see Trojan plays an important role because it is due to social engineering. मुझे पता नहीं था, मेरा OTP share हो गया, मेरा password कोई ले गया, how it has been happened. Therefore, Trojan emerged as a topmost position, because you see यहाँ actually, I mean to say, I think more analysis is required. What is the motivation, how it happens? Instead, it is just given how the threat scenario is there. It is based on the Kaspersky database. And this is how the threat analysis from 2010 to 2018, how it has been managed now, because there is much more research is there. Why this graph comes like that? Because no doubt it's a trend that initially it will be high, then whenever I will apply countermeasures, then it will be low. And this is how threat analysis and various, I think, threats are based on hardware, misleading applications, others, Trojans, Trojan virus, Trojan worm virus. There are many ways how it has been managed. And this is actually a CAGR role that is called cumulative annual growth rate. I think the research is published in a information security journal that is called Taylor Francis. One of my PhD scholars, he did this. And this journal is a Scopus as well as SCIE. and it is being is the official journal of Information Security Associations and ISC Square, what we call consortium. Therefore, this authentic journal, you can, if time permits, you can go to this research paper where extensive things will be there. Okay. Then this is the next part that is actually what we call, this is all about cyber threat landscape. Just a brief introduction I provide, that is actually how the threats can be, I think, what is the defined and what is the target applications, what is the recent trends and analysis being done. Now, this is actually the threat intelligence. How this cyber threat can become a tool to find a counter cyber threat mechanism. Therefore, now the cyber threat is intelligence is an important role in almost all organizations deals with private as well as government services. Therefore, advanced threat actors such as nation states, organized cyber criminals, cyber espionage represent the greatest information security threat to the enterprises today. Many organizations struggle to detect these threats due to their clandestine nature. That is the reason that the organizations now go ahead with cyber threat intelligence platforms, because they must understand what is actually the threats coming, and they must have a R&D to find out the solutions of that. Therefore, in the next slide that is being given, that the sources of cyber kahan se mujhe milega this intelligence. It can be from attack telemetry, because it is a research topic also. Even if somebody has a research interest, they can get into this attack telemetry from the clients, because you see Infosys, if I talk about Infosys, they have a cyber threat platform called Hunter. Similarly, Wipro is having a, I think, is having a cyber threat platform. Cisco is having a cyber threat platform that is called Talos. Because these worldwide companies have thousands of clients. Every client is reporting some sorts of cyber threats. Therefore, these threats can provide some intelligence. That is actually called attack telemetry from the clients. And these actually, I do not know whether it will be possible or not, whether they will be disclosing all these things or not. But these intelligence utilized by themselves to find out countermeasures or find out some defensive mechanism. Suppose I am having a university, suppose if I am having a threat landscape or I think threat intelligence, then also my threat intelligence scenarios can be utilized. For example, almost all universities, they are having some sorts of firewalls. Somebody is using CyberROM, somebody using Fortinet. Low level of firewalls are used. And I think a commercial organizations, they are using national, I think what it is called, your next generation firewalls, where attacks are coming in NIC, even if in Ministry of IT, they are using their own cyber threat intelligence platforms to find out to mitigate some of the cyber threats. The second will be malware samples, because malwares are coming. Because इसीलिए बोलते हैं ना, जो virus, I think जो antivirus होता है, वो बोलता है कि whether it needs to be reported or not. Therefore, malwares plays an important role. This is being analyzed by sandboxes. Even if Delhi police, हमारे पास भी, we have a sophisticated malware lab, and this malwares being analyzed. What is the objective of this malware? How it is being, what is its control process? What is the control flow diagram of this malware? What is it is being targeted? Therefore, we need a sandbox. Even if sandboxes can be, I think open source can also be, I think commercialized. You can have academic editions of sandboxes. I think this is called your Cuckoo sandbox, is widely used by academicians, researchers, because it is actually an open source tool. And some sandboxes being used by many organizations. Then investigations, public private information sources, website monitoring, social media, communication channels used by threat actors, security communities, government agencies. These are actually, I think, various, mean to say, various sources where my threats, intelligence from cyber threats can be obtained. Therefore, even if you can analyze, even if you can devise your own cyber threat platforms, what others? IoT can be inducted in case of if I am handling, suppose in Delhi police, therefore I must have a SOC on any if I am a CISO, then I must the network administrator to find out what is actually the threats that is coming from various IoT devices. Then this needs to be analyzed. This is how the sources and the indicators, actually the data from these sources is fed into a cyber threat intelligence management system. Therefore, the inputs of the cyber threat platform will be the indicators. What is the attack signatures? How these indicators will be obtained? The indicators will be obtained from these resources, what I discussed in the previous slides. What is the attack signatures? What is the domain names? What is the host names? What is IP addresses? What is the file names? What is registry data? What type of vulnerabilities? What is catalog? What is cataloged malwares? And etc. These are actually the threat indicators which will be input to my engine. Then based on the machine learning, based on certain big data applications, based on many aspects, I must have a deliverable output. The output will be what? Security, orchestrations, and automations response. Whenever that means I need to find a solution which is automative and predictive. Mean to say, automatically it will be managed. There is no manual interventions. That is the reason that I need a cyber threat indicator. That the deliverable will be who is attacking, how it is attacked, and what is the motivation of this, why. This information then leads to actionable insights such as what does the threat mean, how do you resist, what actions should you take. That is the objective, that we must have a security operations center. Therefore, this is the objective of the threat intelligence platform. Dear participants, my request is, am I very fast or something? I think very, is it okay to understand, or you will be facing any difficulties, please?
Anyone please share your experience about this PPTs or sessions? Anyone from you?
It is fine.
Okay, anyhow, I hope that, okay, because you see there is always a timing constraints, and perhaps that is the reason that I'm moving very fast.
Sir,
but anyhow, this is
sir,
how,
participants are writing in chat box ki all are clear.
okay, that is absolutely fine. Thanks. Great.
Okay.
This is actually the platform. I will be talking about threat intelligence platform. This is the potential for any other party to access or interfere with the normal planned operations of an information network. Common threats today, APT, that is called advanced persistent threat, phishing, intelligence, knowledge of a threat, malware, botnets, DDoS, and ransomware. Therefore, these are the threats, and we will be managing these threats as my intelligence to my cyber threat platform inputs. Therefore, whenever we'll talk about intelligence, then it talks about knowledge of a threat gained by human analysts or identified by events within the systems. Intelligence is a broad term, but a TIP presents analysts with specific kinds of intelligence that can be automated. That is the reason that we must need a automation. Whenever there is a automation, the you researchers plays an important role. How I can automate to provide the solutions for a particular attack and threat. That is actually called self-healing process or self-managed process. Sometimes it is called SOAR. That is called security orchestrations and automative response. Therefore, technical knowledge of attacks, including indicators, finished intelligence, the output of it. Therefore, we must need a research. I think मुझे जितना information मिला, in case of any inputs, whenever you are doing a research, let us take a biometric. Suppose I am talking about a biometric authentication. So I have found in your lecture that, okay, there will be some biometric authentication challenges and opportunities. One from, I think, DRDO, he will be delivering today or tomorrow. But you see that in any biometric authentication, any research, you must have an input data. Then data को क्या करना है? It needs to be normalized, redundancy, ये सभी होता है. Everywhere you will find out. These are the process of your research methodology, that I must find out which data are relevant, which data are not relevant. If the relevant, how the data can be efficiently handled. Then what is actually the normalization factor? What is actually the redundancy can be managed. In case of your intelligence, whatever the data to be managed, all sorts of pages that is also included. Therefore, you must need, I think, I do not know whether it is covered or not, but anyhow, in a cyber threat intelligence platform, all the data must have a data pre-processing process by which from the entire set of data, we need actionable data. That is the reason that we must have certain, I think, what is called legacy, I think, procedures like data analysis, data reductions, I think data normalizations, etc. Similarly, platform is a packaged product that integrates with existing tools and products, presenting a threat intelligence management system that automates and simplifies much of the work analysts have traditionally done themselves. जो पहले traditionally होता था, now it will be managed through an automatic process. This is actually what I mean to say a cyber threat intelligence platform looks like. We have open source, we have premium third party, we have intelligence, internal intelligence, we have shared intelligence. मैंने आपको बताया, because there is a shared intelligence platform, because everybody is putting their, I think, cyber security incidents in the open platform. Therefore, we can have thousands of, I think, lakhs of crores of, I think, millions, billions of intelligence sources available. Then I am having my own intelligence platform. Then these are all put together and input to the central threat intelligence platform. In between set, you see, forget about the inputs, forget about the output. Inputs will be available. Outputs have a desired output, no doubt. What is the experimented output? I do not know, based on my, I think, because everything we must have a desired input and experimented desired output and experimented output. It is not necessary that what is being delivered that is actually meeting my desired output. But however, if there is a, I think, a difference, then it needs to be managed. That is the reason we must need a research how these inputs can be managed in the threat intelligence platform to have my desired output level. Therefore, particularly any threat intelligence platform have the output in the form of security, informations, event management, what we call CIM. Then we have a firewall. Firewall, actually, it is not like your firewall, I think, recently that, I think 1 or 2 year back firewall. It is next generation firewall, where intrusion prevention system as well as DDoS is integrated there. IPS, no doubt, intrusion prevention system. Endpoint, I discussed. It is not only talk about the data under transmission, data under storage, or the network traffic it is under transmitted, but it talks about my device architecture. What type of architecture is there? Whether this devices is capable enough to analyze certain things or sending the input data to the counterparts through certain protocols. That is actually we need endpoint devices. Then ultimately we have SOAR, that is called security orchestrations and automation. We need automation, automative response. This is actually the desired output. We have the inputs. Inputs can be varied from anywhere, but the outputs actually from CM and IPS and endpoint and so on. That is actually the right hand side. The data need to be managed, collected and integrated. Therefore, the output generally, this is actually a conventional or traditional way how the inputs data can be managed. Whether there is the data need to be normalized, whether the redundancy will be managed, or whether the data is relevant or not, some decision will be taken. Therefore, much more research is there to find out from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. That is always a R&D to find out if somebody is interested, then they can utilize machine learning approach to find out a next generation threat intelligence platform. And you see Cisco, Fortinet, even if I think Juniper, and even if I think Wipro, Infosys. I think every organizations they spent huge amount of I think revenue for R&D in these threat intelligence scenarios. This is how actually some of the sources. It is actually some sorts of, it is open source. It is already being discussed. Government, a trusted sharing communities. Internal, it is not like okay. There is a protocol that is called Samir's secret splitting. आप कभी cryptography में पढ़े होंगे ना? That is actually how people will share things in a insecure, in a cheating environment. Therefore, because you see the adversaries also, they can use some sorts of information in the shared platform to gather actually what people are doing. Therefore, we must have a trusted sharing communities which will be taken together. This is actually a traditional process, how normalization, deduplication, enrichment of the data need to be taken care of. Some sorts of machine learning can be used to classify the data, and even if the traditional approach can be taken to find out the data normalizations. I'm not going through the details. I think this topic is very recent. Even if you have certain white papers, and even if you can go to some IEEE and IoT journals and security journals to find out what is actually cyber threat intelligence platforms, to have a various literatures with respect to this data normalization enrichment. Just have a look into the slides. It is self-explanatory. What is I discussed, that is being written in a very clear format. I will take another maximum 10 minutes to complete my slides so that we can have five minutes for discussions. Okay. This is already being there. Possible security product integrators include SIEM, endpoint, firewall, IPS, and API. Actually, firewall and intrusion prevention system, DDoS, that is called next NGFW, next generation firewall. I think somebody, I have in your lecture, somebody will be discussing about firewalls. You will find out what actually the NGFW is there. Then this actually the more on research part, how this threat TIP provides features that aid with analysis of potential threats and corresponding mitigations. More specifically, these features help analysts to explore threats, provide investigation workflows, understand the broader context and implications of threats, share information. And you see, these are the I think worldwide best 8 to 10 TIPs, threat intelligence platforms: IBM X-Force, Anomaly, ThreatStream, Palo Alto, Network Autofocus, RSA, Logarithmic, Threat Lifecycle Management, FireEye, Eyesight, Looking Glass, Cyber Solutions, Allen Vault, Unified Security Management, and you can have Cisco and many others also. These are also some of the threat, I think, intelligence platforms. You please, if you have interest, then you please go ahead with the slides. I mean to say the various slides. I mean to say various websites of these TIPs. Cisco Threat Intelligence Director, TID, Sonic Wall Network Security, CrowdStrike, Threat Connect, Semantic Deep Site Intelligence, Accenture iDefense, McAfee Advanced Threat. Therefore, I'm having a, I think, a consolidated graph. You see the middle one. There is a AI based, always machine learning. Whenever we talk about threat or AI, it is insignificant. That is the reason that you see there is always a scope to devise your own machine learning approach. Once you have a data, then you can do it. Now, question will be how you will get the data. The data can be handled. You please search some of the websites I think you may get some of the data, open sources data may be available. It is available. You find out in some literatures it is there, then you can have your traditional or what a conventional data collection mechanism. Then you can have your recent, I think, analytics or algorithms to find out, and it can be a useful component for I think for any I think industrial applications. This is actually some of the, I think, what I discussed about the various vendors and what is their pricing and what is the delivery, what is the science behind, what is the use case. Almost all financial services, they use IBM and like this. This is actually the threat landscape of one of this is a use case of a threat intelligence platform. Right? तो जल्दी मुझे कवर करना है, तो व्हाट आई कैन डू, मैं आपको बताता हूं. दिस इज वन ऑफ ए साइबर सिक्योरिटी एसओसी, सिक्योरिटी ऑपरेशन सेंटर. विदाउट दिस वर्ड आई थिंक क्लासेस विल नॉट बी कंप्लीट, बिकॉज सिक्योरिटी ऑपरेशन सेंटर इज द प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन जो हमने पढ़ लिए हैं, और वट एवर द नॉलेज दैट इज बीन अचीव्ड, हाउ इट इज प्रैक्टिकली एप्लीकेबल. देयरफॉर नाउ डाटा सेंटर जहां पे आप बात करते हैं, देयर इज ऑलवेज ए डाटा सेंटर. Whenever there is a concept of data center, then you see the data center can be of many types, whether it is a cloud based or on premise or physical data center. People now going to cloud based data centers. और ये होता है कि okay, my data should not be stored in the public cloud. We can have a cloud on my own, or I can purchase a cloud from a private vendor. Oracle has the concept that is called frontier classified cloud, where almost all I think I got indications. Just a minute. Hello. Ek minute. I'm in a meeting. Can I discuss you after five minutes? कौन बोल रहे हैं? हाँ हाँ बताइए. हाँ 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 ठीक है, फाइन. I'm sorry, I'm getting thousands of calls because I am taking care of the security aspects. Therefore, whenever there is an incident, people generally telephone. That is the reason that my telephone, I cannot able to mute my phone. I am really extremely sorry and apology for that, because I am in such a positions that my telephone is always 24/7 on.
Sir, no need of sorry. We can understand your position.
Absolutely fine. Anyhow, I mean to say that is actually the cyber security center. This is actually the practical application. Therefore, there is just, the input to the SOC is a global threat intelligence gathering, and you see where whatever being taught, that will be applicable. And whenever basically I'm having 5 minutes left. Therefore, basically the SOC will talk about people, process, and platform. The three things you need to understand: whether my people associated with my security applications are skilled enough. If not, then I must hire some external entities. Then the process defined is actually well defined, and what is the platform that I'm using. That is actually the center of excellence about cybersecurity center. And this is how a brief introduction about building a cybersecurity center for our I think law enforcement agency. It is not for Delhi police, but for anyhow. I am just, this is my view of designing a cybersecurity center. I mean to say this is a layered approach, and it talks about people, process, and technology. Therefore, I mean to say there must be budget for my people, for my process, for my technology. And you see thousands of technological projects that is being running in Delhi police for providing a technically enabled what we call SMART, smart policing, visioned by our honorable Prime Minister नरेंद्र मोदी जी. उन्होंने बताए थे कि स्मार्ट का एक डेफिनेशन SMART, when time permits, do the Google what is meant by smart policing. it talks about, I think, technology. The T stands for technology enabled. Therefore, whenever there is a technology enabled, without proper communication and information technology, nothing will happen. That is the reason that, because you see, my target always, my infrastructure is always targeted by the countermeasures. Therefore, I must need, because I am having thousands of criminal databases, I am having many things which strategically important. That is the reason that cyber operation center or security operation center is a must component, not only my infrastructure, but also infrastructure like any critical applications. This is actually the cybersecurity operation center's technological architecture. I think something, this is actually whatever being discussed, that is on more detailed way. This is actually the process and devices, scope and prerequisites. Okay, this is not required and the cost is not required. That is the thanks. Thank you so much. Somehow I have managed to complete the things in a specified manner, but really I am thankful. I mean to say, I think, okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry that बीच में मुझे कुछ telephone आया. That is, madam has already excused, and I mean to say she has given some things. Anyhow, आपको कुछ doubt है तो any participants, because discussions करना है तो आप कर सकते हैं. Otherwise, आप मेरा email ID, I think Dr. Deepak will share my email ID. You are free to provide your questions through email. Definitely, when time permits, I will time permits, as well as if my knowledge is there to find out a solution of your questions, definitely I will share. If not, then I will ask some of my experts to find out a solution. And thank you so much, madam. कोई questions होगा तो only one questions I can entertain.
Sir is very busy right now, so please participant. Anyone participant can ask question. Anyone from you?
Madam, one has asked on the chat box.
Okay, fine, sir.
Okay, there is a chat bot. Okay.
Sir, question is there. Some
Okay,
international
cyber
journal. Sir,
there are many journals. Okay, just a minute. Okay, there is many journals, but very I'm talking about I think low to high, which is Scopus, Scopus and prestigious journals. I'm not talking about Scopus paid journals. You please go to the Information Security Journal, a Global Perspective, Taylor Francis. This is one of a very I think good journal, indexed by Scopus. SCI हुआ ही नहीं, वो आने वाला है, but its view is very largely and इतना भी नहीं है. And second, Scopus journal actually help you in PhD. That is actually you will go ahead with that is called InterScience Journals, Information Journal Information Security, IJIS. Even if Springer and Elsevier, they are quite SCI indexed journal. थोड़ा सा ना वो standard अलग है. You can go ahead with cryptography. Somebody if interested in cryptography, Journal of Cryptology in your Springer. IEEE journals. You see, depending upon आपका क्या है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ. IEEE journals transactions are really quite tough, and followed by Elsevier, Journal of System and Architecture, Journal of Security. Similarly, you can have thousands of journals, but I find that okay, publishing a paper in information journals global perspective is I mean to say is moderate. It's not easy, but it is well defined. आप उनको देख सकते हैं. Even if IGI global journals भी है, वो भी ठीक ठाक journal है, information security journals. But whatever may be the journals, but you should target to a non-paid journals. And UGC, no doubt, depending upon where you are doing your PhD or guiding your PhD scholars, but mostly non-paid Scopus journals are good journals, and you have the contents and you have the analysis. Then go ahead with some of the journals which is SCI. And even if IEEE transactions of IoT is also a journal recently coming, IEEE access, IEEE security privacy. is also magazines. No doubt it is SCI indexed. These are actually, we can't say they are journals, but they are reputed, I think, magazines, which takes some sorts of things. आपको डिटेल्स चाहिए तो मैं आपको स्लाइड भी मैं ये कर दूंगा, आपको फॉलो कर दूंगा. देयर आर thousands of journals, even if Google you can get it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Sir, just wait a minute. I'm
Yeah.
just sharing. This is the small gratitude from our entire IT department, Galgutias College of Engineering and Technology to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Your session was very informative, very interactive also. Even you told us lots of things which we have aware today only, that is like a threat landscape, cyber threats from 3 decades. How do cyber threats affect the web browser applications, cyber threat intelligence for enterprises, and advanced level projects, and cyber threat intelligence platform? Lots of things,
And
sir,
sir,
you
most
discussed
important,
today in today's
taxonomy.
session.
Taxonomy
Taxonomy was very
is very
important.
good.
Very good, sir. So your session was very good, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks, ma'am. And
Sir, this certificate Dr. Deepak will mail you.
thank you, Deepak sir. Thank you, Madam Sandhya. Thank you, dear participants. I'm just like a colleague. मैं अभी तो पुलिस में गया था, but initially I was a faculty. I used to attend FDPs, and also now I'm delivering some of the resources. Thank you, ma'am. I may be permitted to leave.
Yes, sir. You can leave, sir. You
Okay,
can leave,
thank you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Deepak, you can provide his mail ID to the participant. If anyone have any query, they can directly mail them.
Sir has permitted for both.
Okay, okay, sir. Any participant want to ask anything? Any query from anyone?
We will resume at.
We will resume at 12 p.m. now from our next session. Okay, so be on time, please. I request all of you, please be on time.
Thank you.
Thank you.